Hey y'all, I'm Brandon and I want to take a little bit of time today to explain to you the engine temperature sensor for the Harley Davidson here. I was riding down the road and everything was seemingly fine until I started to come to a stop after the engine got real hot and she cut out on me. I was at a stoplight and I couldn't get her to crank back over. Eventually I did and was able to move it out of the way without causing any disturbances to the traffic, but had to get her back home and figure out what exactly was going on with the bike. Never happened to me before. Decided to pull the codes. My check engine light was coming on and my battery was coming on, so I thought, oh, feels like it could be a battery issue, charging system issue. So the first thing that I did was troubleshoot the battery and the charging system to make sure that that wasn't the cause of the issue, and I actually found my ground wire was broken and it was touching my oil pan, which gave me a few different codes. So I was looking at a compound problem. Fixed that ground first, reset all my codes, went for another test drive. Well, she stalled out on me again. So I focused my attention on this. If you're having problems with this, you're gonna throw a code. It'll be P0118, and that's a sensor high voltage, open or high voltage. It means that either this sensor is bad or the connection to the sensor is bad and you have something grounded out. I myself with this issue had a compound problem. My ground was arcing and this sensor was bad. I'm going to go ahead and explain to you how to do all this in reverse. Now you probably don't have to do all this, but I wanted to have as much room in here as possible. So I lifted the tank up, the fuel tank, and just propped it up, and I removed the horn, this whole bracket and assembly, be able to give myself a little bit more room to work in here. So on the back of the first cylinder, you'll see this hole right there. That's where our sensor is going to be coming from. So I'm going to go ahead and put that back. I think I found that a 19mm worked good with this one. I don't know what the torque spec is, but I'm just going to not over tighten it. Nice and snug there. Now, what I saw with a lot of troubleshooting forums was they were saying common issue would be the wiring here was compromised somehow. It was damaged, it wasn't making a good connection, and it was giving them that same reading on the fault. So looking through here, looking at these wires, making sure that they are indeed intact, and you make sure that they're clean. Just gonna go ahead and put it back, and while I'm in here, just wiggling everything around, giving me an inspection. Oh, hey, fuel coming out. Premium's coming out. Peed on me. You got this boot. Slide this boot back down. It's a lot easier to work on with all that other stuff removed. It just kind of gives you less of a headache. What you talking about? What are you talking about? Now that we got that put back on where it's supposed to be, gotta be careful. Once you have that all in place, you can put this through. It's a quick disconnect. Snaps into place right there. Let it dangle. While you have your tank up, it is a good idea to go under here and look to make sure that your wires aren't touching hot components of the engine and whatnot. Making sure that up in here your wires aren't basically anywhere they're not supposed to be, because if you pull this down and pinch something, it could cause some more electrical issues for yourself. Another thing, when you're lifting your tank up like this, have something protecting this front cylinder right here, because it can get scratched up. I'm going to take this out here. So it needs to go up forward a little bit more. Stick this bolt. Come over here and take this guy. Set it back down through here. forget, right here, we gotta hook our fuel line back up and make sure that thing's cleaned off. There it is, it'll lock in place. Once you tighten it back up, that's it. Okay, so like I said before, I was having a compound issue, and one of my problems was down in here, the ground cable was actually pushed to the side, pressing up against, you can see the chrome down there, it was pressing up against the oil pan, and that severed the coating on the cord and rubbed it, and I was getting an arc off of that. And that right there had me trip several codes. If you've never set the codes before, the first thing you're going to do is set it to run. Then you're going to hold down the trip button, change the exhaust, and you'll see it running a diag test here. And when you get here to the diag menu, you're just going to go through with a series of clicks. You're going to tell you different parts. One click will go to each different component, and I want to check here because I want to clear this code out. So I'm going to press and hold. It's going to bring up that code. That is the P0118. That's what I was having a problem with. That was telling me that the sensor was bad, or I had a problem with the electrical connection with that sensor. So what I'm going to do is press and hold and clear it out. So when I press and hold again, it's going to say none. So I don't have any codes right there under that option. So let's go for a test drive and see if this new part worked. So I let it idle out here for a little bit and get nice and hot, and I was revving the engine to see if it would cut out and stall, and I couldn't replicate the problem. So I'm going to take it out on the road to the back road so I don't get in anybody's way, just in case things don't work out. So far so good. Definitely cut out on me before last time. So let's take it back and do another code check just to be sure we're not getting anything popping up. Made it back to the camper. Through and run another diagnostic test here. Nope. Run through the whole menu just to be safe. Nope. Everything's looking good, everything's checking out. If you found any of this helpful, give it a like, give it a share, leave a comment. Let me know if you had any similar problems and what you've done to correct it. We can help each other out. Thank you for watching.